Hello, and welcome to the Designing with Love podcast. I am your host, Jackie Pellegrin, where my goal is to bring you information, tips, and tricks as an instructional designer. Hello, instructional designers and educators. Welcome to episode 86 of the Designing with Love podcast. I'm thrilled to have Queen Michele with me today. Queen is an author, blogger, and creator who has written several books, launched her blog, Keeping Tabs in Mexico, to share her experiences of moving from Atlanta and living abroad, and developed a mindfulness curriculum designed for 7th to 9th grade students of Generation Alpha, which is a very important generation. Welcome to the show, Queen.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Yes, and I'm honored to have you as well. I'm so glad that we got connected on Podmatch. I always try to mention whenever I connect with guests on Podmatch, and so it's a great platform. So I'm really glad that we got to connect there. So I'm giving my little shout out to Podmatch there. I love it. So to start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and share what inspired you to step into the work of helping others embrace authenticity and create positive transformation?
Well, thanks for that question, Jackie. I tell you,
Yes.
I feel right now that I'm amongst peers. I'm amongst those who are in the educational arena. I myself am a retired elementary and middle school teacher, 27 years. Also within that 27 years, I did some administration as well. And I've taught across the country, certified in Michigan, Nevada, and Georgia. I've worked in private, public, charter, and magnet school arenas. But I retired and after 27 years while living in Atlanta in 2015. Upon retiring, I spent that first year I looked at my pension, the pension of a school teacher, and I realized, oh wow, I'm gonna have to do some things to kind of supplement this pension. I mean, the rent paid for the pension paid for my rent, and we just had a huge blast.
I was just going to say, I just heard
the
thunderstorm.
Sky just cracked open. I'm here in Chiapas, Mexico, in a lovely town called San Cristóbal de las Casas. And the sky just cracked open, and it is starting to rain. So that's what you actually heard was thunder.
That was a big crack of thunder. Yes, I know.
It was.
Yeah,
and now it's raining.
Yeah, I live in Arizona, so we get those big thunderstorms too, and it's like, whoa, it's enough to jolt you alive, right?
Yeah, it kind of did. It kind of threw me off for a minute. I mean, it cracked the sky open, and now it's raining.
Wow. Well, hopefully everything will be okay and it won't come down too hard.
We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Good. But that kind of moves me right in. It's a segue right into you're in Mexico? Well, yeah, because after a year of supplementing my pension, I kind of realized that, hey, I'm going to always have to do this. I'm going to always have to supplement my pension. And I tell you, Jackie, I didn't want to be 70 years old saying, welcome to Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Yeah.
We see them everywhere, and at airports, driving Ubers, working in retail. Hey, listen, these people who have given 30, 35 years in some place else are now working to supplement their pension, not because they want to, but because they have to.
They have to.
And with that, I started researching the top 10 places to retire. And this is back in 2016. And then I landed in a place in Mexico, in the state of Jalisco. Mexico has 32 states. And I wound up in the state of Jalisco, which houses the largest freshwater lake in the country of Mexico. It's called Lake Chapala. Now, surrounding that lake are little towns and villages. And on the North Shore, it's the largest expat community in the country of Mexico. Expat being, of course, expatriate, those who are citizens of one country but reside in another. And moving there pretty much checked all the boxes for me. Number one, It was just a 3.5 hour plane ride from Atlanta to Guadalajara, which is the capital of Jalisco. And then the climate was the next one, the box that was checked, because it's eternally spring there. Now, it's a wet spring and a dry spring, but spring nonetheless. And then thirdly, it was that large expat community of Americans and Canadians that just kind of made my landing there really soft.
Wow,
And so
that's
it
great.
was there, Jackie, that I discovered a whole new way of being, living, my purpose, actually. In that time, living there in Lake Chapala, I had a spiritual awakening. I started a brand. I started writing books, several books. And it's a crazy story and not really crazy. It's actually just kind of goes to show how the universe is perfect. How one of those books wound up actually being 52 Insights for Gen Alpha, a conscious curriculum.
Wow. That's amazing how you were able to take that moment and instead of turning it into something where you were going to say, well, okay, now I'm going to have to work in another way. And like you said, it's mere survival, right? Of survival of what am I going to be able to do to be able to live a good life and not feel like I'm constantly on edge, right? So I like that.
That's absolutely correct, Jackie, because here's the thing. I could have stayed. I could have absolutely stayed on the wheel and in the matrix and in the system and continued to work to supplement my pension. But here's the thing with that. I would only be working to pay bills. Right. See, there would be no weekend getaways. There would be no fine dining or concerts. I would work and pay bills. Work, pay bills. And then I would work and pay bills until I couldn't work anymore. And then I would live substandardly because I'm not working. And I felt, Jackie, like I didn't owe anyone or anything my life.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing. You took control of your life in that way. I love that. So, you did kind of describe yourself earlier just now as someone who helps others move from survival to success by embracing authenticity, right? That's what's so important about what you do now. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So can you share that turning point in your own journey where living authentically changed the direction of your life or even your work, or maybe even both too?
Here's the thing, and that's just it. Sometimes you don't even know. I tell you, the universe works on a really need to know basis, and I'm gonna tell you how that happened for me. Here I am. I'm living in Lake Chapala, living in paradise. Okay, and I had wrote several books, and I was really on this train of thought. Had just written a book called 52 Insights for Living New Earth Now. Okay. And I was getting ready to do an 8-month workshop. Every third Saturday from 10 to 3, I had called the gurus from around the lake together, the guru of meditation, the guru of movement, the guru of art. And then, of course, it was my books. It was the workshop was going to be called Your Soul, The Soul's Journey. Okay, the soul's journey. And I gave a presentation and people had signed up and we were getting ready to start that. I was the beginning of 2022. And then I got the call. That my parents were in dire straits back in Detroit, Michigan, where I was born and raised. Pop was 99 with dementia. Mom was 86 with her own set of medical issues. They had both left the house via ambulance within a week of each other. When I got there, they were both in rehab. He was on one end of the hallway and she was on the other. Now, I have 2 older brothers, Dumb and Dumber, and I thought that everything was being handle. I was led to believe anyway, but it
Right.
became extremely apparent to me that when they were, released from rehab, that they needed full-time care. I became my parents' full-time caregiver there back in my hometown of Detroit. Now, here I am. I spent 3.5 years and 4 consecutive winters in Detroit. Now, mom and pop, they passed away within 10 months of each other in 2022. But mind you, when I came there, all that work that I had done, I kind of put that aside, right? I mean, I just put it down. I, rolled up my sleeves, became their caregiver, and that was my life. It kind of changed the trajectory of my life in that moment.
Hello, I have some exciting news to share with all of my listeners. There is a feature called Fan Mail. What this allows you to do is send me a text message anytime during the episode. There's a link located at the top of the description in each episode, and it says Send Jackie a Text Message. So when you click on that link, you'll be able to send me a message letting me know what you thought about the episode and if you have any ideas for future episode content as well. I look forward to seeing your text messages. Thank you. Right.
Well, my niece's birthday was coming up, and I don't know. I just so happened to kind of look over in the corner, and I saw 52 insights for 52 insights for living New Earth now. And I thought to myself, oh, wow, that'd be a nice gift. I mean, it's just sitting there. It's a great book. I gave her that book and a bottle of wine and a candle, happy birthday, niece.
Right.
She thumbed through that book and she said, oh, Auntie, she said, this would be great for high school. Now, my niece is among other things, she's a high school girls basketball coach. And, she's thumbing through the book and she's saying, this would be great. And, I kind of got this little nudge from the inside, kind of like a little ding, ding, ding. And I thought, you know what? You're right. It would be.
Yeah.
Just thinking about the material and the content of it. And then I spoke with another relative, a little while later. And I said, yeah, that book I wrote, 52 Insights for Living New Earth Now? Well, I was thinking it might be good for high school. And she's a retired educator and administrator herself. She said, no. She said that would be perfect for middle school. And when she said that, I tell you, I exploded on the inside.
Sure.
I talk about the ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
But my thought was, who's middle school? Who is middle school in this time in moment in time, right? So that's where the research began, a huge deep dive into who was middle school in this moment in time. And that's when the discovery of Generation Alpha, I did a deep dive into Generation Alpha. And from there, I came to know that I know and understand with the very being of me that all that work that I had done, it was never meant for the audience that I thought it was for. Had I known that, I probably would have messed it up. It always was for Generation Alpha.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
coming to that understanding, that was the transformative of the authenticity of the curriculum itself.
Right.
Because again, like I said, I never thought it would be for Gen Alpha. And here's the thing. Who's Gen Alpha?
Right. Who are they?
Is Gen Alpha? Well, I took that deep dive. And Gen Alpha was born between 2010 and 2024. Matter of fact, the oldest of that generation just turned 13 last year. They are the children of the millennials and some X's who got in there kind of late. They are the first generation to be born fully in the 21st century. What that means, Jackie, is that Generation Alpha was clicking and swiping in infancy.
Right.
They have only been taught externally. For me and generations that came a little bit after me or before me, understand this: Sesame Street went off, the TV went off, but their world is that of 24/7 external stimuli. And get this, I don't blame the millennials because, or the X's, because when they saw when that tablet and that phone, went into the hand, they thought was, oh, wow, I can get my paper done. Oh, wow, I can get the dishes done. I can get a meal on it. I can. It became all of that. And mind you, they're trying to keep up with the ever-changing fast-paced technology in their jobs and, in their lives.
Right.
So Generation Alpha will also be the largest generation in the history of the world. And they are so extremely important, Jackie, because get this, Generation Alpha. And when you hear that name, Alpha, understand what Alpha means. Alpha means beginning. Generation Alpha is responsible for the conscious evolution of humanity. They are an extremely important generation, but we're dropping the ball with them. And my purpose is it's just a very small purpose based on my skill set, as a teacher, as an administrator, with the years behind, that generation where instead of it being 52 insights for Living New Earth Now, it became 52 insights for Gen Alpha, a conscious curriculum. The curriculum focuses on self-awareness through activities that foster mindfulness, self-management, relationship skills, social awareness, and conscious decision-making. See, when I went to school, Jackie, we had classes like home economics and auto shop and typing and all those things that, those classes aside from the content, reading, writing, and arithmetic, that kind of readied us for the world in which we'll be living in.
Right.
Well, see, what's happened and what is happening with Gen Alpha is that there's nothing really in place for them, giving them the tools to help them navigate the world in which they're going. We're not going, but they are.
Right.
And there are certain tools in which they need in order to navigate that world. See, it's always been everything has been external. Nothing has cut off. And so in order to consciously navigate where they're going, all this simply does, my curriculum, this class, because that's all it'll be. Let's put a class in there, like we had different classes to help us with our work. Let's put a class in there that kind of helps them to navigate all the external, and let's balance it with the internal.
Wow, I love that. That's great. You saw that need, and it was by no accident.
It was by no accident.
No, I think that was your light bulb moment. I had someone on my show yesterday who works in learning and development, that sphere, and he has experience in instructional design as well. And we talked about that several times, the light bulb moment. And I think for you, Queen, you had your light bulb moment there when your niece said, "You should do this," and you just said, "Oh my goodness." Like you said, it just all clicked, right? And you just knew.
It really did. And Jackie, I piloted the program in 2 middle schools last school year, in 2024-25, I piloted the program in 2 different middle schools, and boy, did I learn a lot. And from that pilot program, I do know that this curriculum program, it's needed, it's impactful, you know. However, what I found, one of the biggest things I found was, and here's the thing, I don't know, let's see, how can I put this? Unconscious can't teach consciousness. And I don't know how that will land with your audiences. And what I mean by that, teachers are, because I was in the classroom every day during last school year, in the 2 different schools. And what I saw, what I witnessed, and remember, I'm 27 years, a 27-year veteran, is that they put out fires all day long. That's all they do, is put out fires. And when I trained the teachers before the school year began, see, here's the thing. A lot of them don't even know that they're teaching Generation Alpha. They don't understand that they're the first generation, that was born fully in the 21st century, and that they've only been taught externally, and that in that their world, they are in platform and in spaces that's free from parental influence. They are in platforms and in spaces that their parents don't even understand.
Wow.
And teachers are just trying to keep up with administration coming down on them about this, that, and the other, and
Right.
and students being 2 or 3 grade levels behind because of the pandemic, and then the nutrition, the food that they're eating even before they come into classroom, and that has them wired completely different. They are a different breed, and we're still kind of trying to go at them in that traditional way of being, and they're a different breed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's one of the things I discovered. I also discovered, and here's the main thing for me, is that in order for 52 Insights to be marketable or consumable for its target audience, I need to integrate AI into the curriculum. There's no way that I cannot have AI as the integration into the curriculum in its present state. It is not marketable or consumable in a sense, again, because of that statement I made. Consciousness can't, unconscious can't teach consciousness in that respect. So I have taken, I'm in a 12-week course. I just started, actually. Just downloaded the syllabus and pulled down my first assignment, and it's a 12-week course, and it's out of San Diego University, and it's AI for curriculum and design, and how to integrate AI into one's content, into one's curriculum.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. I love that.
I am over the moon excited. So it's a 12-week course. And then after the course, I would, and during the process of going through this class, I will be integrated. The content is already there. The design and the structure and all of that is there, but it's missing AI. And without
Right.
integration of AI, and without that, again, it's not marketable or consumable. So I am in class now. I've just started the class. I'm extremely excited because at the start of the new year, 52 Insights for Gen Alpha Conscious Curriculum will be ready to hopefully go globally, because I'm not saying, that, reading, writing, and arithmetic, all of that is still important. But how about a home ec class in a sense?
Right.
52. How about that auto stuff? How about just something that helps them navigate?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
their work,
Wow.
where they're going.
Yeah, because they need to be prepared not only the middle schoolers, right? They need to be prepared to go into high school, and then if they decide to go into college or technical school, trade school, whatever it is, they need to be prepared for their careers earlier, right, in life, and not just, oh, we're gonna catch them in high school. It's like, no,
No,
that doesn't
and like I
happen.
said, the
Yeah,
oldest of of Generation Alpha, they just turned 13
right,
last year. They just turned 13. And it's my hope, Jackie, it's my hope that some curriculum designer out there will take a look at my curriculum and modify it for the younger grades.
right,
Let's take
exactly.
it. This can start as early as kinder, first,
Yes,
second, third. Just that piece
right.
that needs to be inserted into the overall curriculum, the schooling, because it's needed.
Mm,
This is a piece that's now needed. It wasn't needed before, but
right.
it's needed now. Generation Alpha, they're a different breed. They are a
Absolutely.
different breed.
Mhm.
So let's
Yeah,
give them
so by
something
the
that
time
they
they get
need.
to me, yeah, by the time they get to me in college, I want them to be able to write
But
well
by the
and
time they get to
everything.
you in college, with, just having this class, they'll
Yeah,
have that self-management and relationship skills. You know how technology can take that out of the picture completely because everything external
right.
and also social awareness. They're just everything is, external and then making conscious decisions, making conscious, uh, having that skill of the conscious decision making. We are not equipping them with the social and emotional intelligence that is needed in today's world and in the world that they're going,
Wow.
that
So
they'll
I
be
love that
creating.
I love that you recognize that need, Queen, because I think you're always, that what you're doing, it's never going to be completely done, right? You're always going to be revising it and enhancing it so that you're meeting the needs of the educators and you're meeting the needs of the learners as well. So that's great. I love that. So as you know, many of my listeners are educators and instructional designers like myself.
Ah,
So we're always looking for ways to reach this new generation of learners. And as you mentioned earlier, that's an area where as educators and curriculum developers and like myself, instructional designers, where, like you said, we're just starting to tap into this generation, right? And trying to
right.
understand them. Yes. So,
Yes.
yeah. So what are some you touched on this quite a bit, their unique needs, but what are some of their learning styles, that you think that with this generation alpha, what do you think these educators and someone like me needs to know about, them and what their unique learning styles are? Because like you said earlier, we can't treat them like we've treated other generations. We have
Oh my
to
God,
treat
no.
them
Oh my
differently,
God, no.
right?
They are so they are so different. Remember, here we are with a student in our classroom who has been swiping and clicking since infancy. Okay, and so
Right.
they come in. So here's one. This is something. This is an exercise or an activity. If I was still in the classroom and I was teaching Generation Alpha, and I'm talking from kinder all the way up. This can be modified. Here's an exercise, and maybe your audience will do it with me really quick. It's called I call it the 446, 446, 446, and this is simply a breathing method, and this is done at the beginning of the class before we even get started. When they come in, remember, because these are exercises that foster mindfulness, self-management, relationship skills, social awareness, conscious decision making. So they come in and it's 446. And what it means is you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold it for 4 seconds, and you release that breath for 6 seconds. 446. the more advanced students, like say my middle schoolers, I would love to take a word. Remember, we're working with emotional intelligence. We're working with conscious decision making. So before we even start class, I would have them, I'll start off giving them the words, all of these emotional words that just help enhance emotional intelligence, like calm,
Oh, yes. I've heard of
peace,
calm. Yeah.
calm, peace, and then we're going to words like frustration or what's that word when you I can't even think of it right now. Okay, so I'm going to take three words. I'm going to take calm. Okay. I'm going to take peace, and I'm going to take focus. Okay, but take those three words. Now, those are words that we'll breathe in. Now, what we're going to breathe out would be, let's say, agitation, fear, and maybe anger. Let's just go ahead and say anger. And I'm just throwing these off the top of my head. All right. So class is about to begin. Now remember, this is 4-4-6. All right. So you're going to breathe in. All right. Guys, today our words today, we're ready to get started with 446. Here we go. And breathe in. Now they already know to breathe in 4 times. When I say breathe in, calm. Breathe out, anger. Now you've breathed in calm. You held it for 4 seconds and you breathed out anger. Okay.
Right.
Breathe in peace. Breathe out fear. Breathe in focus. Breathe out anxiety. Now, after a while, and then we'll get started with our day. But after a while, the kids will start leading that themselves. They'll come up with the words.
Right. Yeah.
Who's leading 446 this morning? Who's leading for it? Let's go. Let's get.
So you you rotate it between the students, right? And let them take ownership.
They come up with their words. Oh, absolutely. They have to own it. See, that's self-management, and then that's something that they'll take with them. They will know how to get back centered when they are in those places, and anxiety and fear and anger, those kind of things are recognized, validated.
Right.
But also released. Released. So that's just one simple, and that can go across all learning styles. It's not even a learning style that has to be as it relates to fostering mindfulness, self-management, it's a whole curriculum, 52 weeks. Actually. So this program wouldn't even be done in a year. They'll come back the next year and finish it up. And it's specifically designed for 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. Wow. That 12-year-old, that 13-year-old, and that 14-year-old. That generation, that of Generation Alpha. It's my hope. I have a 7-year-old grandson, and it's my hope that by the time he reaches middle school, that there will be a class, that also helps with all the external, but it helps quiet, through a mindfulness internally, just a class, not trying to change anybody's way of being. Jackie?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I thought for a minute, I thought I lost you.
That's okay. That's okay. With the storm going on, you want to make sure you're still connected. Yeah, I get that. I know, because we're in such a good conversation. We want to make sure we don't lose that, right?
Absolutely. It is pouring right now,
Wow. Hopefully, hopefully you won't get flooded there, because I know some areas of Mexico, they do, and I'll have to get familiar with where you are. I'll kind of look it up a little bit and get more information on it. But yeah, I know some areas, just like here in Arizona, we have some areas that are near like lakes and stuff like that can get flooded sometimes. So so hopefully everything will be okay, because I know sometimes those rivers or lakes can swell up, and you're like,
Yes,
whoa, gotta
yes.
make sure you're always prepared.
And flooding can definitely take place.
Right.
But I
Exactly.
hope I answered your question, with
Absolutely.
that, and that you were able to hear me.
I love that. And I love that technique too, because you're taking the breathing, so they're inhaling the positive, they're exhaling the negative, right?
Before
Those
class
negative
even begins.
thoughts.
Before class even begins. Absolutely.
I love that, because then they can take that strategy not only when they're in their academic studies, but they can also translate that to life skills. And
it's
like you said,
it's a tool. And
right.
That's what, this curriculum does. It just puts those necessary tools in their hands to help them navigate their world, because their world is completely external.
Right.
Completely. So let's give them some tools, to help them navigate that.
And I can only imagine how much of a difference that technique, once they learn it and then they incorporate it in their own life every day, how much better will that make their relationships with others? Not just with their classmates, but with their teachers and their parents and other family members. And then that translates into, like we were talking about earlier, when they go into high school and forming those good, positive relationships, and then college and work in the workplace. So we're setting them up for a good life. And
absolutely.
I love that. I kind of wish the generation now, the one that's before Generation Alpha, I kind of wish they would have had these tools and techniques, because, unfortunately, some of them are coming out of college and it's like, wow, okay,
I know,
this is
right?
not good. Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's something that educators have missed out on. Like you said, they've just got so much coming at them that the administration's doing.
Exactly. And that's what I found, because I would try to tell, as soon as, the next class comes in, we're talking middle school, the teacher's putting out fires. She begins, and there's no time for embracing just that moment of breath work. So here I am trying to, they're just off the wall with different behaviors and issues, and, trying to differentiate instruction. And then I say, hey, teach them to breathe. The teacher's not even breathing. That's what I mean by, unconscious can't teach consciousness.
Right. Exactly. I love that. And it's great, because you actually answered that one question, because I was going to ask you about some practical strategies that educators and teachers could implement right away in their classrooms or training programs. And you nailed it. You're like, yep, I love it. That's a practical strategy right away that they can implement.
Right away.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so easy. Right before class starts, just do that and get them used to it. And I love that idea of letting the kids take ownership of it.
I start off, I may do it for the first couple of weeks, but then the next thing I know, they're coming in and it's their words, and they're leading that breath. You know how we used to go into class and someone would lead the Pledge Allegiance, they'll start us off. I don't know if that was still back when I went to school. Someone would always start off, with the Pledge Allegiance. Well, someone starts off with the breath work, Same
I love that. Yeah, that's great. So I think we'll have time for a bonus question before we move into the final ones, because I think this is a really good bonus question. So before we move into that final wrap-up question, I'd love to slip one more in that I know will resonate with my listeners. So you've spoken a little bit about this, and I'd like you to expand upon a little bit about the power of rewriting our personal narratives, right? Because you faced, in the beginning, you were talking about how you faced that turning point in your life and you had to rewrite your personal narrative, right?
Right.
So if you know someone or someone's listening and they're feeling stuck in a story that no longer serves them, what's the very first step you think that you would say to encourage them to take that step in that rewriting of their personal narrative? That's
an excellent question, Jackie. Excellent question. And thank you for asking that. And here's the thing. Had I stayed where I was, when that decision came to move to Mexico, so I could not stay on the wheel, and stay in the matrix and stay in the system. That was ego. Most people are living their lives and they're living their lives through an ego-driven perspective. The ego is in the front seat. The ego is driving. And it's when one, and the ego is the one who continues to loop those same stories, those same conditions, those same, we have been conditioned, we have been programmed, to actually stay on the wheel, to actually stay in it, to actually work until we can't work anymore. And then, so imagine had I done that. Imagine had I just not got off the wheel, or allowed myself not to be driven by my ego, or just accept the programming and the conditioning that had been me all my life, So, cause what happened when I moved to Mexico is that I met my soul self. See, that's that internal self, that one who, and it was that meeting my soul self that's where the books came. That's where the brand was born. It was just me meeting my soul self, no longer being driven by my ego. So if one finds themselves kind of stuck in that same narrative, they're stuck in that narrative because they're living their lives from an ego-driven perspective. The ego only has 3 jobs. Put it that way. The ego has 3 jobs. The ego is a fight or flight. It's a defense mechanism. It's right. that built-in defense mechanism that tells us to either fight or fly, or run, fight or flight.
Right.
It's also a thought producer. It produces thoughts. Then when those thoughts coming in your mind, that's ego. More than like that's ego speaking, and then it's a thought processor, and it processes based on just our experiences, how we grew up, everything that's been told to us, how we were programmed, and how we were conditioned, based on these are all individual. The ego has a general purpose, but it's not the general. And if one can put ego in the back seat and allow and move inward internally, meet one's soul self, who's waiting for them, who's waiting for them, and then live their life from within out, that's going to be the game changer.
Wow. I love that.
That was the game changer for me. That would be the game changer for anyone, to stop. And it's not like it's an easy thing, and it's not like it's going to happen overnight, but let's become aware that we are being driven by our egos, and we may not think it, we think, oh no, not at all. Yeah, you are programmed. No, not me. Nope. I know. Yeah, you are conditioned.
It's a subconscious thing, right?
Exactly.
Subconscious. We may not realize it.
Exactly. You got it.
Wow.
So
I love
that would be my advice. Put ego in the back seat. I mean, it has a general purpose. It's just not the general.
Flip the script, as they say. Just flip it, right?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, flip the script. I love that. Great. I love that, Queen. That's wonderful. So as we wrap up, what's one piece of encouragement or advice you would give to educators and instructional designers? Oh boy, if I can talk. To educators and instructional designers who want to make a lasting impact, like you mentioned, whether they're just starting out or looking for fresh ways to connect with learners, whether it's the Generation Alpha that we talked about, or even, like someone like me that's teaching college classes or high school classes, or something like that. Yeah.
To connect to your learners, you got to tell them who they are. Tell them who they are. They may not know. Generation Alpha don't know that they're Generation Alpha. They don't know that they were the first, to be born in the 21st century, that they're the children of the millennials, that they're the largest generation in the history of the world. See, and the teachers didn't know that either. So not knowing who you're teaching will keep you from actually connecting with them.
Right.
Yes. So if you're teaching college, then I believe you may be teaching at this stage. I'm not sure. It may be Generation Z,
Ye- yeah,
or
yeah.
here's my thing. Whatever generation that you're teaching, go do a deep dive on it. Just go Google what generation is. I don't know, a 22-year-old. What generation is that? And then do a deep dive, find out a little bit about them. And then, find out how, and in finding that out, you'll find out how to connect with them in your own way. You will learn a little bit more about who you're teaching. You will tell them a little bit more about who they are. And there's the connection right there.
I love
they
that.
feel you know them. You've connected to them. You've told them something about themselves that they don't know.
That's great. I love that. Yeah, because it's funny because the university that I work for, we teach undergraduate, graduate, doctoral students. So we have multiple generations, right?
Okay.
So it's amazing because the way we teach undergraduate students that are coming out of high school, right, that are on the ground campus, we're going to approach them differently than how we approach graduate students that are working adults taking online classes. And then also how we approach those doctoral students that are professionals working in the field.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The connection will come in the knowing of who they are.
Exactly. And then you can connect with them. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then when it comes to, like you said, Generation Z, the Generation Alpha, right? Knowing each of those generations. And you may have a mixture of those, not so much, in the middle school because, they're in that, that Generation Alpha now. But when you get into those higher levels, like I have someone that I know that teaches high school, but she teaches multiple grades. And so I'm like, well, yeah, you have to kind of, they may be in the same generation, but you have to know that your ninth graders are going to have different needs than your 10th and 11th graders, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. So being able to understand them, I love that idea. That's great. Yeah, because I have one student I learned the other day in my class right now, and she told me her age in a message. She's like, I'm 45. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to tell my age. I'm 47 going on 48. So her and I are in the same generation.
So right, the connection right there. And say, oh, wow, we're both generation, bam. And from that, here's some unique things about us. Here's some unique things about, how we learn,
right.
And once again, there's connection. Tell them who they are.
Right.
And connect with them in that way.
Right. I love that. That's great. And it was neat too, because she's going for her second master's. I have my second master's. So it's interesting because in the last topic of the class, we're now in topic 5. These are short classes, not like yours is 12 weeks. Ours are 6 weeks.
Mine's so
12 they're like,
weeks. Yeah.
They're like half of that. So they go by really fast. So we're in topic 5, but last week they had a group assignment where they had to get together, come up with 2 mutually agreed upon times that they could get together. And since my students are all over the country, I have a student in Hawaii, and then I have students on the East Coast in the United States. So all over the place. So I tried to put them in groups. So because I had 9 students, I put them in 3 groups of 3, because usually the sweet spot is 3 to 4, right?
Okay.
You don't want it.
That's a sweet spot. Yep.
That's a sweet spot. So I tried to group them in as best I could by time zone, but it wasn't easy because I had, again, students all over the place. But I did one group all on the East Coast, and then I had one group with the student in Hawaii and then a student in California, because I knew, okay, that's still 3 hours difference, but it's on the same side. If I was to do Hawaii and someone in New York, that would be how many hours difference? 6 hours difference?
Oh, wow.
That would be a lot. So I'm like, that's not going to work for them to set up something. So I tried to at least kind of do my best to group them together. But this one student that I talked with, she's like, I'm really nervous about doing this group assignment because I rely on my work and what I'm doing. And I get it. I understand that. Because when I got my bachelor's and then my first master's, my MBA, I went to the University of Phoenix, and they had learning teams, which were group group projects. It was required in every class that we had to do that. And it made a lot of us nervous. We're like, how is this going to work? And we're going to school in person. We're meeting in person. And we still had problems. Then you add the online complexity, and that makes it even harder. So I just came down to her level, and I resonated with that. And I let my students know, I've been there. I understand what that's like, putting yourself in their shoes and saying, I understand that, but I'm there to support you. And it made all the difference because they
connected. You definitely understood that. Connected.
Yeah. So I think connecting with our learners and our students, even if we're not in the same generation, if we are, that's great. But if we're not,
I mean, just having that knowledge puts you one up for sure.
Absolutely right. It really, puts you in that. It gives you that opportunity to really take your curriculum to the next level, right? With the students and bringing that in fresh new ways to them. So I love that. Great. Oh, that's wonderful. And I'm so excited about your curriculum, Queen. I think it's, like you said, your hope and your dream is to take it worldwide. And I have no doubt that you're going to do that.
Yes.
So that's great. I love it. Especially since you're integrating the AI because.
Oh, absolutely. I have to.
You have to. Right.
And I can tell I had to do that. I had to do that deep dive in order to survive because that's where we are. Period.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And we're doing it at the college level. So, for example, I had this class I'm teaching, the 6-week class. We just revised this program, this instructional design program that I teach in, and all the classes got revised as well. And they have incorporated AI technology all throughout the courses.
Had to.
Yeah. So it's amazing. I think you would enjoy this one assignment my students did. It's about situational leadership, and they actually had to take the different readiness styles of situational leadership. And they had to, the assignment actually gave them prompts to put into an AI tool like ChatGPT. And so what they did was they put that in there, and it said so it basically said to the AI with the prompt, I'm the instructional designer. So that you could even say I'm the educator, but it said I'm the instructional designer, and I am, you need to, and the prompt directed the AI to act as the individual, the employee, and say, okay, here's where you're at. You need to act like the employee. So it had different readiness styles. And then the student had to interact with that particular quote unquote employee, right? Which is what AI was playing. And it was really interesting. They had to actually submit screenshots showing the conversations, those conversation screenshots
that of their interaction.
Right. In their process. And then they did a reflection, and they wrote what that process was like, what they would, what went well, what they would do differently. And then, what was the easiest readiness style to work with? What was the hardest and why? And it was fascinating to see that. And then this week they're working on an assignment where they have to create an e-learning module, and they have to utilize AI to help them kind of come up with some of the content and refine it. And then of course they refine it with the AI, and then it's going to be their own work at the end. But it's really amazing to see how they're utilizing it. And this is something they'll do in the workplace because I utilize AI every day in my work with curriculum development.
Right.
So it's amazing. I love it. So it's great. So you're definitely on target to make a difference. And so I'm excited about that. So I look forward to hearing more about that as you move forward with that and you make those refinements and adjustments to your curriculum and roll it out. So that'll be great. So I'm looking forward to hearing after the 12 weeks how that goes. So
maybe just started. I'm so excited.
So maybe in a couple months you can come back on and we can maybe do a little bit of that deep dive about what you learned. Yeah.
Oh, Jackie, that'll be great. That would be great.
I love that because then we can dig into maybe some of those things those light bulb moments, right? Some of those things that
I had while integrating AI into the curriculum.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. The content is there. The curriculum is there.
Exactly.
Now there's an integration and an understanding on my part as to how to the best way to integrate. That would be best for the students. Yeah,
I love that.
I'm on my way.
I think my listeners would really appreciate that, because then they can see what your process was, what, you took, you're taking this class, what your
Right.
takeaways are, and then how you're planning on updating your curriculum. What areas do you see where you can make those refinements and add in the AI into it? Because I think that would help with a lot of my listeners, because I would say about 80% of my students are K through 12 educators. They're looking to move out of the classroom and transition out. So I think that would be great, because if they're still in the classroom, while they're in their master's program, they still have to be able to work on curriculum and make those changes.
That's right. That is correct.
Right.
That is correct.
Yeah. So that would be great. I'd love that. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Queen, for sharing your insights and your experiences with my audience and with me today.
Thank you for having me, Jackie. Yes. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And again, like I say, it's been an honor.
Yeah. So I know the wisdom that you offered, from your creative pursuits to your practical strategies, everything in between that will no doubt inspire and encourage my listeners in their own journeys as well. So it's been wonderful. And I know we'll stay connected, and
yes, we will.
We'll have you back on the show, because when someone comes on my show once, it ends up becoming a regular thing. It's like, yes, I want you back. I want you back on the show again. So I love it. Well, once again, thank you, Queen. I appreciate it. And
thank you, Jackie. And you finish having a good rest of your day. And I'm going to go ahead and enjoy this beautiful rainfall that's taking place.
Yes. Hopefully it'll clear the skies out, and it'll, I love the smell of fresh rain.
Yes.
And just that, I love when the moment I don't know about you, but I love the moment when the sky clears and you see the blue sky, and you're just like, wow, it's just, and everything about after the rain. It's just beautiful.
Rainfall. Yes.
Yeah. Great. Well, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and try to stay dry at least as much as you can.
All right, hon. You take care now.
All right. You too, Queen. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, hon. Bye.
Thank you for taking some time to listen to this podcast episode today. Your support means the world to me. If you'd like to help keep the podcast going, you can share it with a friend or colleague, leave a heartfelt review, or offer a monetary contribution. Every act of support, big or small, makes a difference, and I'm truly thankful for you.